McCarthy. Take the handoff. And Alec Manis is going to throw a pick.
They give it to Cora.
Up back. Cora. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Ruben Wilson does it again. 4 points of daylight. He's got some speed and some blocker.
Outside, turns the corner. Blake Cora down the sideline.
Looking over the middle. Caught. Touchdown, Wolverine.
McCarthy extends the play. Now using legs. McCarthy a first down.
We have our own live studio audience there. That's pretty awesome.
That's sweet. Oh my gosh, that got me all fired up.
Good evening, everybody. This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry show where we like to talk about football. And tonight we're talking about football. Even though we're out of season, there's still stuff to talk about. And it's a lot of fun. We've got a handful of stories tonight that we want to go over. One story we're going to talk about, did Ohio State actually cheat? We're going to talk about some of that. There's some level 3 violations out there that they self-reported. Good for them. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that in possibly a sarcastic manner because that's what we do.
Is there any way to talk about things like other than that? Like it has to be sarcastic.
It almost has to be. Yeah.
Can't take the NCAA seriously.
Yeah. The NCAA is also considering a rules change directly resulting, or maybe not directly resulting, but kicked up a notch because of the whole Michigan thing. And then we also have some tampering to talk about as Mackenzie tampers with his window.
It's getting windy, man.
Getting windy. So before we get started, though, like I said, this is Big Ten Team Rivalry show. We love to talk about college football. This is really our outlet to share our thoughts and ideas on the games and the news around the league, in particular the Big Ten, in particular Michigan, because we're Michigan fans, but we do talk about a lot of other stuff, not just the Wolverines. I want to be clear, we're not insiders, we're not professionals, we have day jobs. We're fans, just like a lot of you guys out there, so join us in the chat, be part of the conversation. This is like, talking with friends about football. This isn't insider stuff, although we'll talk about some insiders. We know people who know people the same way other people know people who know people. We watch people who know people.
There you go.
We don't know them. They don't know us.
They have no idea we exist. Buckeye Scoop might know we exist now.
Oh, we're not supposed to talk about them anymore. I told everybody we wouldn't talk about them anymore.
Oh, well.
That one time.
That one. Oops.
I am your host. My name is Cliff Richardson. I am actually a professional web developer and an amateur woodworker. That's what I do during the day. I've been a fan of the Michigan Wolverines as long as I can remember, going back to the 70s. With me, as always, is Mac. Mac, we've never done this before. Tell us a little bit about yourself that you feel like sharing so people understand who you are and what you're doing here.
So people, okay. Well, I like football. I like talking about football, and I like trying to find ways for people to pay me to talk about football, which is why we've got this set up. And so hopefully we can get paid.
Hopefully. One day, maybe. Who knows?
That'd be cool.
Speaking of which, though, we are at, last I checked, we were at 661 subscribers, which is really awesome. Thank you, everybody out there who's subscribing and joining us in the conversation. Feel free to drop something in the chat, say hello, tell us you're out there, and what you might want to talk about. Our next goal is 750 because, I don't know, I just figured it's a number that we could get to and have, some small goals to get to before we get to the big one, which is 1,000. And we probably should plan something special for 1,000, like a giveaway or something.
Oh, we should.
I don't know. We could make a t-shirt again or something.
We could try.
If you enjoy what we do here, and I know we haven't done it yet, but if you enjoy what we do here, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, chat, and wait for me as I read my notes that I was going to talk to you about. Just, we're just here to have the conversation, so join in the fun, and that I ended that wrong. I should have said just join in the fun. Did I mention we're not professionals?
Yes, okay. We're not professionals.
All of that said, Mac, are you ready to talk some football?
I'm so ready to talk some football. Let's talk football.
Well, that's too bad because we're not going to, because the first story is about basketball because you wanted to talk about something to do with basketball.
Well, it kind of has something to do with football too, because
Kind of.
it's about court storming and field storming. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes. Here we go.
You might have
let me introduce this here real quick, though.
All right.
So Mac put up a poll, and the poll was on our community page on YouTube, and we got a bunch of responses on that. Really appreciate that. And it has to do with court storming. Court storming, obviously, if you've ever been to a football game, you know they don't play on a court; they play on a field. Mac decided he wanted to talk about basketball. Okay, go ahead, Mac. Tell us your rationale here.
All right. Well, it wasn't. Excuse me, while I belch my way through this. It's not because it's about basketball. It's because it's about sports, and it's because it's about the NCAA trying to control us again, like always. No. So here's what happened. So, like a week or two ago, Duke star Kyle Filipowski, I thought his name was Flipkowski. It's Filipowski, was injured after Wake Forest upset Duke at Wake Forest. So Duke is, obviously a really good basketball team. I think they're actually having a down year. I can't remember. But anyway, a down year for them might be like actually still really good. I should probably look up and see how they're doing real quick. But anyway, Kyle Filipowski is, I just spat all over my spit shield, is their star player, I guess. I don't know very much about basketball, so I don't know what his stats are that make him that good, because I also don't watch Duke. I've been following Michigan basketball kind of for a few years. This year, not so much for obvious reasons. But yeah. Anyway, Filipkowski is a star player of theirs. He got injured, sort of, kind of, on a court storming. A fan smacked into him, and he fell to the ground, writhing in pain and agony, blood everywhere, bones broken, hearts also broken. Anyway, he his knee apparently got injured, and they had to freaking carry the dude off the court. They carried him off the court. Do you want to know what he did in a game within the last couple of days? I know for a fact that this next game took place a couple of days later. He freaking did a windmill dunk. So his knee is fine, man.
As it stands, Duke is 23-6 overall, which is a 79% win average. So they're doing pretty well this year.
Yeah, they're doing good then.
15-2 at home, 6-4 away, 2-0 neutral.
Okay. So I saw this article from, who's this guy? Ex-Purdue basketball star, Robbie Hummel. And he doesn't. So the debate now is whether or not court storming should be banned. Should we ban court storming because these players are getting injured?
Okay, so hold on. Before you go too far on that, let me hit the article here. We can fill people in on the article. I don't think this is the article you just referenced. I think we've got two articles going. This one is from Glenn Hill at the Washington Post, which he put up about a week ago. Duke's Kyle Filipowski collides with fans, suffers knee injury, and court storm. So video showed a fan colliding with Filipowski as the crowd rushed toward midcourt, and the 7-foot center walked off the Joel Coliseum floor. 7 foot. You wouldn't think too many people could knock him over, but I guess if a bunch of people came at him.
He's got a really high center of gravity, so all you got to do is kind of get low and,
Yeah, sure.
pop
Use a football move on him.
Yeah.
Filipowski, who led Duke with 17 points and 8 rebounds, was hobbled during the rush and had to be helped off court. So, in fact, Duke coach John Shire said, "When are we going to ban court storming?" Shire said in a news conference after the game, "When are we going to ban that? How many times does a player have to get into something where they get punched or they get pushed or they get taunted right in their face? It's a dangerous thing."
Yeah, okay, it is. All right, I'll go into my thought. I don't know. Should we go into our thoughts on this now? Should I?
Well, so some coaches want to ban it and some players don't. I read an article where one player said it was actually a great memory for him from his playing days, just having the fans rush the stadium or the court.
The court, yeah.
So that's when you posted it on the community tab, and these were the results. Should court field storming be banned? And it's basically 2-1. No, it shouldn't.
Right.
So what was your opinion, Mac? Did you think it should be banned or not?
No, I think that if there's bad behavior going on by the students as they're storming the court, then the schools need to punish the students. That's so these students, because what I do see is like during a lot of like field storming and things like that, this happened a couple of times in the SEC last year, is that teams would get upset and then fans would rush the field and then end up getting into fights with the opposing team's players. And I understand that sounds like a reason why you should get rid of field storming and court storming, but there are cameras everywhere, dude. Like, you've got it on camera, identify the student, and then get them in trouble, like punish them for that act. That is, if they get into fights, that's assault. Okay. Jail, arrest them. If it's a court storming and they get in, and they ran into a player accidentally or something like that, then fine. It's an accident, whatever. But at that point, like, okay, maybe we can, especially with basketball, maybe we can instill some sort of like a 30-second timer. I think that was, did Tom Fernelli say that on Cover 3? I can't remember who said that, but like a 30-second timer, like wait to storm the court until the other team has had a chance to get off the court. I don't know if that would work, because 30 seconds is like, the whole reason they're rushing the court is because of the emotional high. And if you take a 30 seconds to kind of think about it, then the emotions are going to go away and you're not into that moment anymore. So I guess the way I see it is, even in the basketball court, there are still cameras everywhere. If a student does something bad, find them, identify them, and punish them. This really shouldn't be that hard. The NSA has such capabilities to track us everywhere we are now, and we're thinking about taking all of these fun aspects of sports away because some people do really dumb things in really small, small times, in small amounts, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's like one person is about to ruin it for everybody, and that's just really stupid.
But now, wouldn't the antagonist argument here, the opposing argument, be that you ban court storming to I'm sorry, I'm losing my words all of a sudden. You ban court storming to prevent the injury from happening. So like what you're saying is, let them have their fun, and if somebody gets out of hand, you deal with them. But when that happens, you run the risk of a player getting injured or a fan getting injured. Isn't the whole idea behind banning court storming to just prevent the injuries before they happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of still feeling like it's just a control issue. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely merit to keeping the players safe. Like, it is a player safety issue. And that's why I think like maybe they could figure out some sort of a delay, just get the other team off the court before, people start storming it or something like that. The other thing is that you could,
hold on there, but you couldn't have a delay, because I think about any kind of game, when that winning goal is made, that's when the fans storm the court, storm the field. So you can't delay it.
No, it takes away from the emotion for sure. Yeah. So I guess that's what my thing is why can't we just, why do we have to baby the students and be like, all right, if you're not going to behave yourself, then we're going to take it away completely and ruin it for everybody. How about instead we use the cameras that we have everywhere that are tracking us anyway and identify when something bad happens? I don't know. Is this conspiratorial to me? Like, there are cameras freaking everywhere in the world. Like, you can't come up to a four-way stop without there being for obvious reasons. Like, they're trying to find like people who run red lights or drunk drivers or something like that. There are cameras broadcasting from every angle at a football game, at a basketball game. Nobody storms the ice in a hockey game. That's never been an issue. But anyway.
I think it has. I think that has happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
people slide all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, people are sliding and falling, and that sucks. But anyway, I guess I don't know. I don't I don't think it's a good idea to continuously put the students in timeout and say like, oh, you did a bad thing, so we're taking this away from you. No, you did a bad thing, so put them in jail. If they assault a player, put them in jail. Okay, if they injure a player, then that could be part of the situation. Like, oh, if you storm the court, you will be held liable for any injuries that you purposefully or otherwise cause. Yeah. Because people need to watch where they're going. Like this should be the same thing for everywhere. I don't care if you're in like the store or just driving around on the road. Like if you're excited, that doesn't give you the right to then just bang someone out of the way at the cash register and be like, I got to pay for my stuff now. I'm so excited. I got this deal. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see what comes of it. It sounds like the coaches want it stopped and the players don't care. Or I shouldn't say they don't care, but some of the players are okay with it. Some of the players are not, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
I will say that it feels like the injuries that they're saying are being caused because of it are really overblown. Like Filipkowski was making windmill dunks not a couple of days later. Caitlin Clark, I guess, got injured in a court storming, and then like the next week broke the NCAA women's record for most points. Oh. So actually, I think she just broke the men's record too. So great job, Caitlin Clark.
Nice.
You're very, very good at basketball. So yeah. So I don't know. I guess my opinion remains like if a student does something bad, punish the student.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's right up until like somebody's career is ended because a student ran over their leg the wrong way or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
I guess from my perspective, I wouldn't mind seeing it banned, but it's one of those practical things. I don't know how you would somehow, some way. Right. I mean, otherwise you're having to spend a whole bunch of money to put up barriers and all of that. And that's going to be a different problem.
Yeah.
At any rate, thank you for everybody who voted on that. We had 104 votes on that at the time of this recording. And I'm sure Mac will be putting up another poll again soon.
Probably tomorrow.
All right. Our first story here, our bigger story. Our second story. I forgot. Count. So that was okay. So the poll was the community poll, and now this is a story.
Oh yeah,
actually
you're right.
A story too. But anyway,
you're right.
That's all. Nobody cares.
No.
This story. All right. So this story comes from the Columbus Dispatch. And it's Ohio State self-reports 4 minor NCAA recruiting violations in football. Now, this is where I said our comments are going to get sarcastic because obviously the reason we're bringing this up is because of the way Michigan has been treated through the NCAA investigation that they're going through. I want to say right off the bat, before we get too far into this, I actually think these violations aren't that big a deal.
Oh, yeah.
But the self-reporting part is what I think is actually kind of suspicious. But anyway, let's get into this here. So the story starts. Okay, so first of all, you have the slides are backwards. I apologize. I started on the wrong slide. This is where I meant to start. So much for show prep. We're doing so well.
Well.
So Joey Kaufman at the Columbus Dispatch puts out this story, and it starts with the Ohio State Athletic Department has self-reported 4 minor NCAA violations in football since last summer, according to a document obtained by the Dispatch through a public records request. So they had to ask for it. The infractions, which occurred over a period of 5 months, all involved recruiting and ranged from contacting a player before he entered the transfer portal to providing a high school player with a photo edit following a visit. If you don't know what a photo edit is, we'll explain that in just a minute. They were all deemed a level 3, considered isolated or limited in nature, and the least severe level under the NCAA's structure, resulting in mild penalties. Only one of the 4 violations led to further action by the association after Ohio State took measures in the immediate aftermath. Before we go any further, I want everybody to know if you have any questions, comments, drop them in the chat. I can actually put them on the screen this week. I've figured out how to do that. So we will be highlighting chats as we go here. The first violation, actually, anything you want to say before we get into that first violation there, Mac?
I'm kind of reading ahead to prep a little bit. Like, obviously I already did my no, I already did my prep. Like, I know what I was going to say. I just needed a refresher.
All right.
But like, I'm getting upset rereading this article. So keep going.
Okay. Well, here we are. Okay. So the first violation, impermissible contact with a transfer. And I'm breaking these out of the article. This is not the entire article. So if you want to read the whole thing, go to the Columbus Dispatch and read Joey Kaufman's article. Impermissible contact with a transfer. An assistant coach called a player before he appeared in the transfer portal. The player had posted on X about his intention to put his name in the portal, but coaches can be in touch only once a prospect is in the portal. So again, as we said, these are kind of weird and maybe not serious violations, because it sounds like the kid was going to get in the portal.
Are you kidding? No, this calls into question the entire integrity of college football. This is an outrage.
Well, hold on
Ohio
here.
Freaking won an off-season national championship because of how great their transfer portal class is. Now there's an asterisk there. This is ridiculous. Fire everybody. Put them in the gulag.
Once he learned that the student athlete was not contactable, he ceased communications until the student athlete entered the NCAA transfer portal, the report said.
Doesn't matter. Waterboard him.
Well, okay. On a serious note, though, this is what I find funny, because it's like, oh, once he learned that he wasn't supposed to do that, he went, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't supposed to contact him. It's hilarious, because it's so much like I can very much see that they said, oh, you know what, just go ahead and contact him, and we'll self-report and say we didn't know once we find out.
Yeah.
Which takes a level 3 violation, which is there's 4 levels of violations. So level 3 is pretty low, 1 being the highest, 4 being the lowest. So
Okay.
it's down there on the scale, but by the same token, it's more the attitude of how they did this.
But we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but every single one of them is like this.
Every single one of who?
Every single one of the violations.
Oh, yeah.
Is responded to this way. Oh, we didn't know. How did they not know? Aren't they supposed to know the rules? Now, we can say that this is why the NCAA is such a mess, because they have so many of these rules, not unlike the U.S. legislature, where there's so many rules, you don't know if you're breaking the law or not. So I'll give them that. But
yeah. Well, that's what a bunch of people from athletic departments all over the country have been saying, is that there are so many rules that they don't know what is and is not permissible at this point. Like, it used to be that you'd have compliance officers that would tell you, like, don't do that, or yeah, okay, go ahead and do that. Mm-hmm. But now it's gotten so complicated that the compliance officers are fairly useless, it seems like, at this point, I think, anyway. But I don't know. The way that I read this particular one was, I saw a Twitter thread. I believe it was in reference to this. And it said that the coach that contacted the player in question actually had a prior relationship with the kid. So they knew each other. And so when the kid announced on Twitter his intentions to enter the transfer portal, the coach, it could probably, well, I'm not going to say probably, it could be that the coach saw that and said, oh man, I heard you're transferring. What's going on? Is everything okay? Like, that kind of thing. And, I don't know, maybe if you want to, we can talk about you coming to Ohio State or something like that, but didn't realize that he wasn't actually in the portal or something. I don't know. I'm trying to put a good construction on this, because like we complained about how unfair the treatment about Michigan was during the sign stealing stuff. So I'd hate to then for this to happen to Ohio State and be like, yeah, he totally cheated. He absolutely knew what he was doing. And maybe he did. Maybe he did know what he was doing, and he thought like he could self-report it and that way look like he's, actually virtuous in this situation. I don't know.
Right.
But, innocent until proven guilty. So in the meantime, I'm willing to believe that this guy, because of the prior relationship that the one person on Twitter mentioned, can't remember who mentioned it, but I'm willing to believe that, maybe they just had a prior relationship. He knew the kid. And so he was just like checking in, like, hey, what's going on? Everything cool?
So the reason it's a problem, the reason why this is actually a violation is because they are potentially influencing the player. So you have this possibility of a player goes on social media and says, "Oh, I'm going to enter the transfer portal," and then maybe under certain circumstances he changes his mind. If the other team starts showing interest, they influence him to actually enter the transfer portal. So it's essentially what is that? That becomes sort of like it's close to tampering, but it's not necessarily tampering because the kid at least said he had an intention to enter the transfer portal allegedly before anybody ever contacted him. So
yeah, and at least they weren't like offering him a dollar figure or something like that.
Right.
But actually, so John Wright here left us a chat, and he said kind of the same thing you did. He said every time Ohio State is accused of some violation. Oh, you pulled it up. Okay, cool.
I did,
of some violation, it's because they self-report, then self-punish. When OSU self-reports, it is their way of saying to the NCAA, you can see this, but not this. Yeah, that's not a bad point. I mean, yeah.
Well, and it kind of goes to that, oh, we didn't know it was against the rules. It's that same vein, in the same vein of,
yeah.
It's almost a sleight of hand, which is what he's saying here. We're gonna show you these in hopes you don't look over here.
Yeah, and probably maybe that's enough for the NCAA to not investigate further. But I don't know. I don't know if there is a reason. I think it's really dumb though, because in this USA Today article I found about it, it says that schools are required to regularly report rules violations to the NCAA in order to remain in compliance. That's really stupid. Schools you are required to report when you do something bad.
Right. Well, here, let's look at. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to go to the rest of that slide, though. It led Ohio State to suspend recruiting activities for a week and reduce its in-person days and official visits by 4 and 3, respectively. The assistant also met with athletic director Gene Smith, and the school provided the rest of the staff with a letter of education on tampering and the newly implemented transfer windows. Neither the assistant nor player was identified. So it's it's reminiscent of the guy who makes the it's from The Office. You know, Michael Scott makes a sexist joke, and the next thing you know, everybody's in what is that?
Sensitivity training.
Sensitivity training. Yeah. That's what this amounts to, is sensitivity training.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder, I guess what I was wondering too is how much of this is, well, you know what? I'm going to hold that thought. I'm going to hold that thought till we get through the other ones.
Okay.
So the second violation was they provided a photo edit. I think I have a typo there. They provided a photo edit, which is a violation. When Ohio State hosted a recruiting event, and this is where we're going to explain what a photo edit is for anybody who didn't know, which includes me when I first read this article. When Ohio State hosted a recruiting event, it drew dozens of high school prospects to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. And if you're a programmer like I am, you just made that into the acronym WHACK.
There's two people on the face of the earth that'll get that joke.
Got that, yes. The Buckeyes offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach provided a player's guardian with an edit that was taken by the creative staff as part of a photo shoot. But those materials cannot be given to prospects until they are juniors in high school.
That's really dumb.
It's very strange, but what a photo edit is a photo shoot. And apparently what has happened is it's not just so let's say Ryan Day, in this case, since we're talking about Ohio State, let's say Ryan Day visits with a recruit, or the recruit is it's okay on official visits, I think, but Ryan Day meets with the recruit and they take a picture, which you would think, okay, that's probably going to happen. Parents want to commemorate the event, even if they don't get recruited. It's like, hey, Ryan Day was at my house.
Yeah.
So you take a picture. So it's gone from that to literally the school will bring it, or whoever is doing it will bring in exotic cars, exotic animals. They will bring in other celebrity players, and they will set up this crazy photo shoot to, as part of the recruiting. And the reason it's a violation is because it's very much like the rule about scouting future opponents. It's because most schools can't afford that. Not every school can afford to rent a Lamborghini, let's say, and take it to the recruit's house.
But what does the fact that they're juniors in high school? Why?
I don't know. That's another one of these weird NCAA thresholds. I don't know.
That doesn't make any sense. Like,
But that's what it
if you're a
is.
sophomore, you can't show them a Lamborghini when they're a sophomore. That's bizarrely inappropriate. But when they're a junior, it's totally fine. Expose them to all the Lamborghinis you want.
Right. But the situation is, and in the other article that I read, a lot of who was it? A lot of coaches have said it's gotten out of hand and it needs to be stopped. So apparently this is quite the interruption. I don't know. It is weird to me. I think it's almost like one of those things where you have to be there to see it happen to understand how much of an interruption it is.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say they are. Okay. So I thought a photo edit was just like, how they have those photos of them, like their top, when they release their top 4 or top 8 schools. And then when they finally commit, they have this graphic and it's, like, keep hitting it, paraphernalia from the school and stuff like that. And it's all in this like cartoonized sort of photo type thing. And
that's part of it too. Yeah.
That's part of it. Okay. I thought it was just that.
Like, no, it's not just that. It's
not just that. Yeah.
Taking a recruit and putting them in uniform before they've actually committed and taking pictures and that kind of thing. And
well, if it's like a whole photo shoot where they've got Lambos and, I don't know, whatever else they've got going on in those photo shoots, which can get kind of intense, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not cool. I mean, these are kids. That's really manipulative.
Right.
Hey,
well,
man.
yeah. And maybe that's why it's a violation.
Yeah. Okay. So I might actually agree with that one. I don't understand the junior threshold. Like that's really stupid.
Yeah.
I think that should just be banned, period. But whatever.
If anybody out there watching understands the junior threshold on this, let us know. Drop it in the chat.
Yeah. Make it a super chat too, and we'll frame it.
And one day we'll actually figure out how to, collect money from super chats.
I think you have to hit
it's just going out there in the ether. You have to hit a threshold, yeah.
I think you have to hit a threshold, otherwise YouTube hangs on to it.
Yeah. The next violation was booster contact with recruit before a game. On the sideline before a game at Ohio Stadium in September, 2 unnamed boosters took a picture with the recruit and shared it on a social media website.
Oh my gosh! If you're gonna break a rule, don't do it on camera.
Yeah, well, again, that is kind of a weird one, I guess. But boosters must hold some serious sway on these schools, and I guess that makes sense because that's what one of the reasons the NCAA exists is because boosters can be, essentially like government lobbyists.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the boosters that are funding NIL right now. It's the boosters that get all of those special perks and stuff like that for the season. And they run athletic departments probably more so than the athletic directors in a lot of cases.
Yeah, well, that's crazy.
Wasn't it? That's actually that was a part of why Rich Rod got fired and they didn't give him a 4th year was because of the boosters. The boosters wanted him gone.
Oh yeah. The last violation here is a social media violation. A staff member commented on social media last month in response to a verbal commitment by a transfer. Great news, they wrote, reposting an announcement. It was in violation of NCAA Rule 13.10.1.1, a bylaw that prohibits schools from commenting publicly about a recruit until he signs an aid agreement.
All right. I'd like to see the rationale behind that one.
Yeah. And so I think we're in agreement here that these violations, aside from, I think you said the first one was actually because it's close to tampering. It could actually be serious, but I think we're in agreement though that these are just some without being, it's almost like you have to be on the inside to understand why any of these violations would be considered serious.
Yeah, or maybe you just got to read The Athletic a lot, which
I
I don't want
guess
to pay
it
for.
kind of like we can even go back to when Ohio State's players were selling tattoos, or
Yeah,
not selling tattoos, selling
selling
paraphernalia for
memorabilia.
tattoos.
Yeah.
And I think at the time we were like, okay, why is that a problem?
Yeah.
And in a sense, it's a problem because not every player can do it, and that creates an unfair advantage. But it doesn't create an unfair advantage on the field, though.
No, it doesn't.
So,
and if another player is upset by someone selling their like if a Michigan player was upset about an Ohio State player selling memorabilia like championship rings and stuff like that, well, then win a championship and you can sell the ring.
right.
Like,
But the bottom line on this is, and this now I'm going to go back to sarcasm. The bottom line on this is each one of these violations is a violation. They're supposed to know this. They broke these rules, therefore they cheated. And their answer to it was every single time, oh, I didn't know that was against the rules. I'm sorry. When does sensitivity training start? It's so smug. It feels like the coaches got in a room and said, these are the violations we're going to break. These are the penalties. We can do the time, so we'll do the crime.
yeah. Yeah, and it's and like John Wright here was saying, it might just be sleight of hand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, waiting until, I don't know, if the NCAA launches an investigation. So that's the thing, is I would say that I would wait until the NCAA launches an investigation, but they probably aren't going to, because there's nothing here, in my opinion.
Well,
But
I think all of these are closed anyway. They've
Okay.
they've received the punishments and they've fulfilled them, and that's all over now.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't care because I think the NCAA is just a joke. These rules, for the most part, aside from the photo shoots with the kids and stuff like that, that can get weird. Like, I don't like that very much. I think that's really dumb. But all the other ones, I'm like, why is this a problem? Like, that's really dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Anybody out there watching, if you have any thoughts on those violations, drop them in the chat. Let us know. But I don't know. It
didn't. I was going to say, it didn't help them beat Michigan, so not a big deal to me. Whatever.
Yeah, it is a weird one. It's like like I said, it's like they said, we can do the time, so we'll do the crime, and they did.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not just saying this because I don't want to get a ton of crap from Ohio State fans that don't like that we went all Buckeye Scoop is unhinged thing. Oh, I said it again. I'm sorry.
Man.
But I want to avoid the wrath of the Ohio
button.
State fans. I want to avoid their wrath. So I'm just going to say innocent until proven guilty. And if it were me in this situation, I'd probably be like, oh, I wasn't supposed to text him? Shoot. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Oops.
When we release this segment as its own video, the thumbnail will be Ohio State insane. NCAA ignores violations. Buckeye Scoop response incorrectly.
We should do that. We'll release this one as its own segment, and the thumbnail and the title are going to be like, oh, Ohio State cheated, vacate all their wins. And on the video, we're going to be like, I guess they cheated, but who cares? It's really nothing. I don't know.
All right. Moving on. Story number 3. NCAA Rules Committee expected to vote on recommendation to allow coach to player helmet communication.
Thank you, Harbaugh.
Yeah. So the whole reason this is coming up, I mean, it's been in the works before, but the reason it's been pushed now is because of the whole sign stealing situation. And again, got to remind everybody, sign stealing is not against the rules. What was against the rules is a staff member going to a future opponent's game and recording the sidelines and then using that information to decode signals during a game.
But also, if you think that you can get anything in the realm of usable and advantageous information with an iPhone at a football game,
A shaky iPhone,
I
and you're
have,
likely not going to get a clear shot anyway, but
I have lakefront property in the Sahara Desert to sell you. Anyway.
at any rate, when what coaches were saying in response to that was we should just go ahead with these in-helmet communications so that we don't have to use signs at all. So many coaches have said these signs are stupid, they slow down the game, and they're easy to interpret.
Mm-hmm.
And the original rule, the sign stealing rule, was going to be vacated at one point. Vacated? Is that the right word for that? It was going to be dropped, vacated at one point because it became repealed. It became irrelevant because at the time it was a cost thing. Not every school could send somebody. Well, now you get the video everywhere. And there's even, they talk about the All 22, which is actually on YouTube in some cases. And it's so easy to get. So they were going to get rid of the rule and they didn't. And they're trying to hit Michigan with it. So here we are.
Finally.
Here we are finally. So this article comes from On3 and it's by Andrew Graham. And he says, college football is poised to modernize in a few key ways in the near future. Recommendations are being finalized this week, calling for the approval of coach-to-player helmet comms, sideline tablets, and a 2-minute warning.
Boo!
According to Yahoo's Ross Dellinger.
As if we needed more ads.
So the first one, the coach-to-player helmet communication became a hot-button issue, as we said, during the 2023 season after revelations about impermissible scouting by a Michigan staffer to suss out opponent signals. The technology has been used in the NFL for decades. Decades. Now, okay, so what was the main reason they weren't using this in college already?
I don't know. Because the NCAA sucks? I don't know. They didn't want it. I think it was.
Well, yeah, I think that was part of it. They didn't want it in the cost of it, which still exists.
Why? What? How is that so expensive? Sorry, that came off really intense. I meant like the school. How can the schools not afford? I owe Western Michigan University 6 figures. How are they not able to afford putting microphones in helmets?
Yeah, and they only have to put him in the coach's helmet, or the quarterback's helmet, and whoever sends in the play call.
Yeah, so all he's got to do is get what's the play? All right, we're going to hand it off. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to hand it off. Cool. Break.
I don't know. Maybe it's cheaper now. I don't know.
Whatever.
This is the one that I find interesting. Leaders in charge of the rules are also poised to allow for the use of tablets to replay previous plays or use other permissible video to coach players on the sideline. So they can watch their own replays. They don't have to call for it. They can watch it on the tablet. Now, I'm sure they still have to make an official change. They have to call for it.
Wait.
But what this means is what they're watching here.
Yeah.
On a tablet, they've got an iPad and they can actually access the footage of the game while they're playing the game. Right?
Yeah.
That's what this is.
I mean, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
So it's not future scouting, but it is essentially being able to rewatch what the other team is doing right during the game.
Okay, cool.
This one seems incredibly impractical to me.
Well, they do it in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, they've got more staff on those sidelines too.
I don't know. It seems to me that colleges are probably going to need to start hiring people specifically for this for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, people to, or just give the players access to a tablet on the side. Yeah, actually that's what they do in the NFL is the player just goes over to the sideline, grabs the tablet, and in Tom Brady's case, smashes it against the water cooler. But other players will watch a play and be like, what's going on? And all. So yeah, actually this is fairly practical.
This is practical. All right.
Yeah. Depending on the type of tablet they're buying. I mean, if they get, 10 iPads, then somebody's not getting their scholarship that year. But
That is true.
Not that that matters because the kid's probably got a multi-million-dollar deal with a car company anyway.
All right, this is your favorite one. The NCAA Rules Committee is also apparently pushing to add a 2-minute warning, meaning the clock will stop at 2 minutes remaining or after a play runs just past that time at the end of each half. Mac, why do you hate this rule?
All right, guys. I work in marketing. It is in my best interest as a marketer to make sure that you see the ads for the companies that I create advertisements for. I freaking hate this. This is stupid. There are too many ads in college football as it stands. There's so many ads. How many times did you watch a game this last fall where they would do the kickoff, or there would be a score, there would be a touchdown, okay, and then they would show 2 minutes of advertisements, and then they'd come back and have the kickoff, and then the announcer would be like, and when we come back, Michigan has the ball, and then they'd show another 2 minutes of ads. So you got 8 seconds of game time with 4 minutes of advertisements. That's like if you don't have YouTube Premium, that's like YouTube ads on steroids. And it's not okay. All right, I'm done.
What's bizarre to me is that I thought last year they said they're going to keep the clock running after 2 minutes, right? Isn't that what happened last year? After 2 minutes, the clock keeps running? Yeah. So they were trying to speed up the games, and now they're slowing them back down again.
Well, hang on. I can't remember it. No, keep going. Never mind.
Well, I was going to say, just as far as the ads go too, I think it's hilarious now. And actually it's been, I don't know, a handful of years now that they'll actually show ads while they're breaking down a play.
Yeah.
And they'll box it. They'll put the announcers into a little box and they'll have the ad running on the side. We are being inundated with so many commercials.
Here's what it is. It's okay. So except for the last 2 minutes of each half, the game clock will now run after first downs.
Okay. Yeah. That was last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
That they didn't
last year.
They didn't stop the clock to move the chains anymore.
Right. Yeah. So they kept on going. And the idea was to shorten the game.
Yeah.
So now they're adding the 2 minute. So now they're adding the 2 minute warning to re-elongate the game.
Yep.
By an extra 2 minutes, 4 minutes really, so that they can get more advertisements in. This is so stupid. Yeah. I'm so upset right now.
Remember, everybody out there, if you have any thoughts on these rules, drop them in the chat. We can throw them up here on the screen and talk about them. To actually be put in action, the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel, PROP, will have to approve the rule changes. They're scheduled to discuss them on April 18th, just a month and a half from now.
So call your local congressman and beg them to keep the NCAA from doing something this tragically stupid.
Yep. And again, they point out in this article that the addition of the helmet communication started to truly be legislated by the NCAA in the wake of the Michigan scandal. The big scandal.
All right, we got a chat though.
Antoine.
Our friend Antoine's back. Hey, Antoine, how you doing? Did you want to read it?
Sure. Antoine says, can you talk about the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC gave the rest of college football a BS offer that they knew they had to refuse so they could play good guy while leveraging their power? Ooh.
Wait. That they knew they had to refuse. Who had to refuse it? I'm a little confused. Who refused? Talk about the fact the Big Ten and the SEC gave the rest of college football a BS. Is he referring to the conference realignment?
He might be.
Okay.
Huh. Antoine, we might have to come back to this one. And I say that, Antoine, we're coming back to this one because we're going to be talking about this 2 stories from now.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll get there. Blue Wolverine says, hey, everyone. Hi.
Blue Wolverine says hi.
How are you?
Hi, Blue Wolverine. Nice to see you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's move on to story 3 then. What we've got here. The Athletic. From The Athletic, Wolverine's Wire. From one of our favorites, Isaiah Hole. We don't know him, but he is an insider.
That's true.
From the Athletic, Michigan football player offered $1.75 million to transfer. This is called tampering.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened here? Yeah. So according to Isaiah, with the potent mix of the transfer portal and name and image likeness licensing, we're seeing an uptick in tampering. Though programs skirt around it by going through unofficial channels, it's becoming a problem, especially for smaller schools or ones going through coaching changes, like Michigan. Michigan football is in the latter category, with Jim Harbaugh leaving for the NFL, and according to The Athletic, one Wolverine was offered a substantial sum in efforts to get him to leave Ann Arbor. And here's what happened, according to The Athletic. Whispers of lucrative NIL offers for Michigan's star players proliferated during the open transfer window. One parent of a returning starter said, on the condition of anonymity, that their son was offered roughly $1.75 million to play next season at a different school, significantly more than the player was earning at Michigan. Despite those overtures, the transfer window closed, with Michigan losing only one projected contributor, safety Keon Sabb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sharon Moore did an incredible job keeping the roster together. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? What do you know about tampering, and what are they doing about it?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly. I mean, I guess the thing is that you don't really know that it's happening because the players don't want to say that it's happening. You can really only just kind of guess. But like, I could see a world where eventually this gets to a point where players are being tampered with, and if they accept it, then somebody's going to have to incur penalties. Like, the student is also going to have to incur penalties, just as the tamperer would have penalties as well. So like, if Alabama, like, because Keon Sabb entered the transfer portal and then like 4 days later committed to Alabama, like it was fast. So the rumor was that, like, or the thought then was, oh, Alabama probably tampered with him. Well, then it comes out that Keon Sabb has like a $2 million NIL valuation at Alabama that they're trying to give him, something like that, I think. And so, yeah, it looks pretty sketchy. Okay. So Antoine says, I don't believe that much money was offered. If anything, they would try to go after a quarterback. If they did offer that kind of money, they are just silly. Why not go after a top-rated quarterback? I don't know. I mean, I'm inclined to believe that. So I guess I would say that if the Michigan player that got offered $1.75 million to transfer is lying about that figure, why? You know, why? And especially because if he accepted it, then it would have been basically pretty clear that tampering was involved. So obviously, I don't know why he would lie about the specific number figure. What I could see happening is if like a Michigan player or an Ohio State player came out and started a rumor that, like Michigan was trying to tamper with an Ohio State player, or Ohio State was trying to tamper with a Michigan player. Well, where's the proof? And then you could have something like a situation where they're trying to frame the opponent or frame the rival for something that didn't actually happen. In this particular case, no school was given, no school was named. So I'm inclined to believe that the player is just saying like, yeah, this is a problem. I was offered this amount of money, but I don't want to leave. So yeah. I think that's where I was going with that.
Yeah. Antoine points out that Isaiah Hole has a YouTube channel. Yes, he does. Locked On Wolverines. It's great. I love it. Watch it all the time.
Very good. Where do you think we get all our information?
Free Climb is back. Free Climb says the parent should have revealed who it was. Why protect scum? And
go ahead.
Actually, I was going to ask you. Why would they protect it? It could be to protect themselves, really. I think that could be part of it. I don't know. I would speculate at this point. It would be interesting to see if they would just come out and say, this team offered my son $1.75 million and he never said he was entering the transfer portal. I don't know why you can't say that unless, of course, you can't prove it. So if there's no trail, if there's no paper trail, if there's no digital trail, you're taking a huge risk, because if it was just a phone call, a wink and a nudge, and you have no record of it, then yeah, you better keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, anyone can say like, oh yeah, my kid was offered money. See how terrible this situation is. But as soon as you start accusing somebody, that's where I feel like you could get in trouble for libel. Even if it did happen, if you don't have a record of it, like you're saying, then all the other school has to do is sue you. And if you can't produce any evidence, then you're immediately out. Like you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Antoine says, I'm going to tell you straight up, there's no guarantee he will even start there. There are 2 other 5-star safeties waiting. To me, it's a step back. You have to learn a new system on top of it. You must be talking about Keon Sabb.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Keon Sabb. And all I can tell you about that is $2 million is a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how much it was. I'll look it up real quick. Maybe I'm talking out my butt.
No, I think you're right. It was $2 million for Keon Sabb and then $1.75 million for whoever this story refers to. This is where NIL is gonna. This is the dark side of NIL. Oh, Antoine says yes. He's talking about Keon Sabb.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But this is the dark side of NIL. We wanted to see players get some compensation for what they're doing, because the whole point of this was these players are putting their bodies on the line, potentially risking a potential career-ending injury while they're in college. So they'll never go to the NFL. If that happens, they don't go to the NFL. They can't ever play football again in some cases. And then maybe now they've got to refigure out their entire future. And you might say they should have a plan anyway, but the other side of that is that the schools and the media companies and the boosters are making millions and millions of dollars, and these kids were getting nothing. So NIL was supposed to resolve that, but now this is the dark side of NIL. Now it's money. It's just like the NFL, and you've got so much money flying around, and these kids. If you're between 19 and 23 years old and people are throwing millions of dollars at you, that's got to mess with your head.
Even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it doesn't take a lot of money for a stupid person to do something extremely stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, Antoine's right. I don't know how much Keon Sabb made. I think I was getting that confused with the $1.75 million that the other player was offered.
Oh, I could have sworn I saw it said $2 million for him. All right.
I don't know. I'm looking up. Actually, this is kind of interesting. So Alabama players, their NIL valuations from On3, Jalen Milroe, the quarterback, is $1.6 million. So yeah, actually, with that being said, right there, Antoine's totally right. There's no way that Keon Sabb was given $2 million.
Okay.
So yeah, I think he's totally right, because all
right,
there are only 6 players that actually have NIL valuations at Alabama anyway. So I can, Antoine, you're right. My bad.
All right.
Please don't unsubscribe.
Unless you get a signed contract, I can promise you anything I want to. Yeah. That's the other part of it. Yeah. If there's no contract, and I mean that's that's what Harbaugh was talking about. He was worried about these players getting manipulated by the system, so he wanted to use his knowledge of what it means to have an agent and or multiple agents in his case, so that these kids could be protected.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I'm kind of upset for him for leaving, because I was hoping he could stick around and do that, but that's a story for another time.
But he wants that Lombardi.
Yeah.
I didn't know this for Antoine. I didn't know this for sure. It's just logic. Well, We have day jobs, Antoine. Sorry.
Actually, okay, I want to throw this one up. This is kind of related just because McCarthy just went to the NFL. What do you guys think about McCarthy wanting to play for the Bears in the NFL? This is the first time hearing of it. I didn't know he was going to play for the Bears. I thought they were still, well, I guess they're still at the combine, but I didn't realize he had said anything.
Wanting to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, JJ's from Illinois, so it makes sense.
All right. Okay, there is an article out. Okay, and I don't know. I don't have time here to check and see which one is legit or not, but there is a report out that a Wolverine star was offered a substantial amount of money to get him to leave. According to The Athletic, one player was offered $2 million to leave, but he decided to stay. Okay, so it wasn't Keon Sabb.
Okay. Yeah, that must have been that other player that Isaiah Hull was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
So what do you think of McCarthy wanting to play for the Bears?
I sincerely hope he doesn't go for the Bears because I really want him to do well. And I could see him doing well at Chicago. The problem is that I don't want Chicago to do well because Detroit's doing well now. So I kind of have too much skin in the game now, and I'd really like the Bears to not be very good. So
Free Climb says it's JJ's hometown. So
yeah, I could see it, but I don't think the Bears have the number one pick in the draft right now, do they? 2024 draft order. Yeah, I think it's the Los Angeles Rams. They must have traded for that. Because I thought the Rams were in the playoffs. How'd they end up? Yeah, they traded for that then. Actually, I think they did trade for that because I remember hearing something about a player going from the Rams to somewhere else because of that. But anyway, the Bears don't even pick top 8. And I'm seeing I saw a Mel Kiper tweet or a tweet that quoted Mel Kiper saying that they wouldn't be surprised if JJ goes in the top 5. So,
okay.
I mean, if that's the case, then he's either going to the Rams, the Steelers, the Dolphins, the Eagles, or the Texans. I don't want him to go to the Texans because they've got CJ Stroud, and CJ Stroud is very good. I'm very happy to see him doing well. I don't want him to go to the Dolphins because they've got Hurts or Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa, I think, and he's really good. Steelers, he could probably help out there. The Rams, though, I think would be a good idea because then he could learn under Stafford. He could learn under Matthew Stafford for a few years and then be the starter when Stafford retires.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we spent too much time on this. I just thought it was interesting.
King Davis 7374. Apparently there's a lot of King Davises out there. It says Sabb is going to start. I'm assuming he's projecting that. He's predicting that Sabb could start. Obviously, they don't know yet, but
there's
a possibility.
I saw an article that the Crimson Tide are actually very much in need of safeties, and so this actually is a position group that Sabb could potentially start in. That was actually another reason why people thought he was transferring was because he would be a starter at Alabama, and Michigan has a couple of backups that he was going to be fighting for playing time with. So maybe there's something to that too.
All right. Frederick Fields really wants us to know this. His caps lock key is stuck. Transfer protocol as a college football's free agent. I mean he's right.
He's right. Yeah. He's right.
Yeah.
It's absolutely correct. Oh my gosh. All right.
We're our last story. Excuse me.
Our last story is not a story.
I didn't mean to scream into the microphone there, cough into the microphone. Okay, so in our live stream last weekend, we talked about the realignment, the 12-team playoff, and trying to talk about how that shakes out. Mark Benton, 7813, there's a lot of Mark Bentons out there, said, guys, please do more for the 2024 conference. Please do more 2024 conference research before discussing the new 12-team playoff system. I tuned in to get your perspective, but it sounds like you all have more questions than opinions.
Yep.
Yes. And most of your questions seem to come from the fact that you don't know the conference realignment situation.
Yep.
Yeah. Shouldn't that be your first point of focus if you're going to discuss that topic? I mean, we had to ask the questions first to figure out what we needed to focus on. So, taking your advice to heart, and we did actually look into the conference realignment. And as we started to look into the conference realignment, a story pops up that the conferences are going to change again, potentially.
Everybody just please stay put. This is ridiculous.
Stay put, yeah. So here we go with the as it stands, this is what the Power 5 looks like for 2024. The ones in white are the current teams. The ones in yellow are the incoming teams. You'll notice the Pac-12 has no incoming teams. Every conference, well, every Power 5 conference, four of the Power 5 conferences are adding teams. The Pac-12 is losing teams. You now have, we were saying the Big Ten and the SEC were super conferences, but the way it's shaking out now, the Big Ten has the most teams and the ACC has 17.
Yeah.
Big 12 has 16.
Is bigger.
Yeah.
Huh.
Big 12 has 16 and the SEC has 16.
Wow.
This is phenomenal. So what this does to the playoff situation, because let me advance real quick. I'm probably going to go back and forth on these slides, but so the group of 5 conferences are not changing as much, other than Army has joined the AAC and Kennesaw State has joined the USA. Hold on a second. I had a chart that showed me. Oh, the Army was independent.
Oh yeah.
And now they're gonna join the AAC.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So otherwise in the group of 5, not much change going on there. And then our independents remain Notre Dame and UConn. Whoops, I forgot to get a space there. Notre Dame and UConn. UMass is actually going to be joining the MAC-10. The MAC in 2025.
Sweet. All right. We get UMass back. That's cool.
Yeah. Now, how many of the group of 5 teams would you project get ranked high enough to be in the top 12 and potentially the top 14? Because now there's the consideration that it might be 14 teams.
I mean, it happens every year that one of the group of 5 teams, there's like 1 or 2 group of 5 teams that go like 10-2, 11-1. And
yeah,
well, actually, I shouldn't say that because Cincinnati went undefeated, didn't they? And then Western Michigan went undefeated in 2016. Appalachian State has had good years. Liberty had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so I repeat your question.
How many of these teams do you think will actually make it in the top? Let's just say 14. Let's go with the idea that there's going to be 14 teams in the playoff. How many of these teams do you think could get to the top 14?
Every year there's like, what, 4 different teams that are kind of in play.
Yeah. So
there's like 4 different group of 5 teams, maybe 5. There's a handful of group of 5 teams on a yearly basis, and they're always different from every year. But there's only a handful that really do well enough to get inside maybe the top 15. So actually to actually get inside the top 15, because you've still got right now you have the at-large bid for the for the highest rated, for the BC, not the BC. Wow. What year is it? 2005. Jeez. For the CF New Year's 6, that's it. Because they still have the at-large bid for the highest ranked group of 5 team for the New Year, for a New Year's 6 game. So that's just getting transferred over to the CFP. So now you've got, 1 or 2 group of 5 teams. Yeah, there's like probably 2 on a yearly basis that are going to make the playoffs.
All right.
Definitely 1.
All right.
Yeah.
So jumping back. Okay. So looking at the Power 5. I'm trying to figure out with this kind of realignment. I mean, basically the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, and then maybe Notre Dame. Not maybe. I put Notre Dame in there. So let's put Notre Dame in its own conference.
Mm-hmm.
So the playoffs are going to be between the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, and Notre Dame.
Yep.
I mean, that's just how it's going to be.
And it depends on Notre Dame too, because you never know which version of Notre Dame you're going to get from year to year.
Right. But typically, I mean, they're always ranked.
Yeah, okay, but
I mean, it's rare that they're not. But I mean, what we're looking at here is it's not going to be the 2 power conferences. It's going to be the Power 4 and the Group of 6, or maybe the Power 4 and the Group of 5, because Pac-12 is just not going to exist. Oregon State and Washington State are going to go to where would they end up? They might end up. Well, I guess that part of the article that you were talking about with from Greg Swaim. Am I saying that right? Greg Swaim.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Greg Swaim show.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
the SEC and the Big Ten are the ones with the money, and they're going to be going after maybe Oregon State and Washington State. Maybe they're going to try to pull. What was he talking about? Maybe trying to pull Texas? No, not Texas.
Florida State.
Florida State. That's it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think
Florida State.
I think he was saying that the Big Ten was going to try and poach Florida State from. No. I gotta look it up now.
While Mac's looking that up, you guys in the chat, looking at the Pac-12, where do you think Oregon State and Washington State are actually going to end up next year? Because I seriously doubt that the Pac-12 is going to exist come September.
Okay, so it looks like it was. Oh yeah, okay. Florida. What conference is Florida State going to? Explaining the Big Ten versus SEC rumors pending lawsuit versus ACC. So, Florida State is suing the ACC because it doesn't feel that it's receiving enough compensation from the conference for the amount of viewership it brings in as a team. According to some numbers crunched by Brett McMurphy, Florida State averaged 4.16 million viewers per game in 2023, good for 9th overall in the NCAA. The rumors are that they're headed to the SEC, but according to multiple reports, the SEC has more opposition than interest in adding teams like the Seminoles. That's weird.
Yeah.
The SEC's goal is to play a level of football that appeals to a national audience, and that it already has that with the Gators in Florida and the Gamecocks in South Carolina. With that, the addition of 2 other schools from the 2 states would not make any sense. So he's referring to why they wouldn't add Florida State or Clemson. So he's saying that they've already got a foot in those markets. So why would they get 2 more teams from those markets? Which just says to me, hey, Tony Petitti, you got a couple of teams that aren't so happy with their current conference, and they're way too far from the Pac-12. Well, also the Pac-12 is dead. Yeah. So, dude, this is a slam dunk. Call up Clemson and Florida State and say you got a home here if you want it. Holy crap. We're about to have 2 conferences legit. Jeez.
Well, I don't know. I think we'll end up with 4. I think we're going to end up, I mean, the way it's looking, I think we end up with 4 conferences. And then on the other side of it, the group of 5 end up being the feeder schools for the Power 4.
Which 4 are the Power 4, though?
ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC.
ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC. Okay. If Clemson and Florida State leave the ACC, how much longer do you think the ACC survives, though? Because those are the 2 biggest brands in the ACC. Unless we're talking basketball, in which case then you've got Syracuse, although they suck, and then Duke and Virginia,
NC State is in there.
North Carolina. Yeah, but NC State's not really like a big football. I mean, they're good, but are they known for football? Are they really known for anything?
They were. It seems like a couple of years ago they were. Oh, am I thinking of something else? Oh, shoot. Well, yeah, okay. So maybe you're right. Okay, so then if those 2 teams, which 2 teams were you talking about leaving ACC?
Clemson and Florida State.
Okay, so if Clemson and Florida State leave, yeah, you're right. Those, I mean, clearly those are the two biggest names in the ACC.
Yeah.
So then I bet you the ACC wouldn't dissolve. It would just end up being, then we'd have the Power 3 and the Group of 6.
Okay, yeah, but then you have the Big 12, which is made up of, okay, I'm trying to find team, and I guess maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I don't see a team in the Big 12 that really has a brand that you would say like, oh, the Big 12 has this school and that's why they will never die. And that's like why the Big 12 will start getting all of the networks. Like, cause like what network is going to like beg the Big 12 for Arizona games?
What about Baylor?
Baylor was good, but they've been down. They had a couple of good years, but they've been down since RG3 left.
But you've got teams here that can perform. I mean, you've got Baylor, BYU, Cincinnati, Colorado. I guess I just take that back. They performed in a flash. But okay, so Baylor, BYU, Cincinnati, Iowa State has had their moments. Kansas State has had their moments. TCU obviously had a moment we'd rather not relive.
But TCU went to the national title game and then the next year didn't make it to a bowl game, I don't think.
Well, no, I'm not saying necessarily consistent. I'm just saying they have their moments. I mean, there are some teams that never get there. These are teams that have gotten there. So if they've done it once, they can do it again.
But they I guess they can do it again, but I don't know that it's really a matter of whether or not they can do it again. It's the fact that like the Big Ten has Michigan and Ohio State and to a certain extent
some
Penn
more
State
national brands,
Oregon and Washington and USC, these teams that consistently do it. Well, maybe not Washington, but these teams that consistently do it. Whereas like, TCU had one good year, and then Houston has had, flash in the pan year. Cincinnati had one good year. Cincinnati is the reason why a Group of 5 team would probably never again make the 4-team playoff. So every Group of 5 team should be thanking their lucky stars for expansion, but whatever.
All right. Frederick caught my Mac 10 slip up. Yes, I say Mac 10 once in a while. Being a Big Ten fan my entire life, when I was a kid, I actually thought conferences were only allowed to have 10 teams. And if you didn't have 10 teams, you had to fold. I don't know. That's when I was a kid. I haven't thought that for a long time. I was a kid. So yeah, at some point, it's just a slip up. I say Mac 10. Well, it's just one of those things.
I was going to say, I can't remember what I was just about. Oh yeah. There was a point in time where you kind of thought that when I was a kid, there was a point in time where I thought the Rose Bowl was just a game that they reserved for Michigan and USC every year.
Right.
and Michigan always lost. So,
right. Yeah. They had a tough time with that one.
Yeah.
Antoine says if they can push out an ACC team, they should have no problem pushing out one of these weaker conferences.
In regard to what?
I would imagine them folding. So if they push out, like you were saying, if they push out Clemson and Florida State, then they can push the Pac-12 down, or they can remove the Pac-12 entirely. The Pac-12 would fold, basically.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they would. I don't know.
Oh, Frederick said, great observation.
Yeah.
I don't know to what, though.
That's in reference to, I think Antoine and Frederick kind of got into a little tiff in the chat here.
Uh-oh.
So, right. Boys, play nice.
Oh, yeah. There you go. He says, knock it off, Antoine. Sorry, I don't know.
Hey, don't come at our boy Antoine.
Can't read all of them here.
We like him, except when he's laughing at us about NIL valuations that I clearly have no clue about.
Right. Oh, we just have more comments here about the. You guys are all still talking about the NIL stuff. Well, that's fine.
Yeah. We've moved on.
We've moved on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I can confirm that TCU did not make a bowl game last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I knew that. I don't know why
Boy.
this is up. That's going away. All right. So that's I'm sorry. That's a lot of the information we gleaned from looking into the conference realignments. Like I said, the conference realignment situation is now a super tricky one. Not tricky. Always changing. That's the bizarre thing too. My comment about saying the MAC-10, because I always thought that you had to have 10 teams and all that when I was a kid. It used to be that these conferences were locked.
Yeah.
And they're just not anymore. And I grant you, we'll go all the way back for the Big Ten. We'll go back to 1994 when Penn State joined. No, or 91.
99?
No, it was earlier than that.
Oh, all right.
But that's when that's when I was kind of like weirded out, because I thought, well, wait a minute, now we're gonna have 11 teams. Are they still gonna call it the Big Ten? And oh, hey,
dude,
Blue Wolverine, thank you very much. Go Blue!
Blue Wolverine for $4.99. Our first super chat. Holy crap! All right. That's getting framed.
Oh, there's the one we got to frame right there. All right,
yep,
so
that's it.
Do you want to tell them what you said you'd do?
Yeah, so I said for the Senior Bowl. That was when I first said it. We got like 500 subscribers right before the Senior Bowl, and so 500 subscribers is the threshold that you need to hit in order to start accepting super chats. And so I said, probably 20 times throughout the course of that 2-hour stream, the first person to send in a super chat, we'll get it framed, and then we'll put it on our display here on the thing that you're watching for our next show. And dude, it's you. It's Blue Wolverine for $5.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's really awesome, man. This is a moment.
This is cool.
This is sweet. We weren't sure if this was going anywhere. We started, I was thinking about it. We started last season, before the 2023 season started. Going into the season, we had 70 subscribers.
Yeah.
We had 70. By the end of the season, we had 400. And now we have on March 3rd, we have 661. So,
dude,
it's going somewhere. This is awesome. It's because of you guys at home, viewers like you. Yeah.
New conference, the big transfer protocol. Frederick, do you know that your caps lock key is stuck? I'm just messing with you. So BTP, that's what we should call the new conference, the big transfer protocol conference, the BTP conference.
Yeah, the BTP conference. The BTP North, I guess.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Then we have Antoine. It's not hard to figure out. They want 2 super conferences, and instead of pushing the rest of them out, pushing them out there, they just make their own league, Big Ten and SEC. Oh, yeah. Actually, we talked about that not too long ago on one of the shows. Sorry, I'm leaning back. The Big Ten and the SEC were going after the NCAA, and we said, they could just break apart and make their own conference.
Yeah. Well, they could make their own league.
Their own league. I'm sorry. Yeah, their own league. That's their what I meant to say.
Well, yeah. But okay, so how long before we get there? Because we've been talking about this idea of relegation. Relegation. Yeah.
Regulation.
No, it's
relegation.
Relegation.
Yep.
It's the tier system. So they should have the Big Ten and the SEC just combine into the tier 1, and then the rest of the group of 5 teams split into tier 2 and tier 3, because I think there are too many to do just a second tier at that point. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they just divide it in half and have tier 1, tier 2, and then every year the 10 or 20 best teams from tier 2 go up to tier 1, and then the 10 or 20 worst teams from tier 1 go down to tier 2. And then just build out the divisions exactly like how the NFL has it. And yeah, completely and totally screw up the regular season, but at least we'll have some organization.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Antoine follows that up with the rest of the conferences will be feeder conferences, AKA minor league to them. Yeah.
Unless you have relegation. Absolutely. I think. the way that I see it is if you have relegation, then players will want to stay at their schools because they'll have something to work for rather than going to a school where, they could end up having a bad season and get relegated back to tier 2 or something. I don't know.
Right. Well, and we had already talked about with NIL, it essentially makes college football the minor leagues to the NFL.
Yeah.
So then what we'd have is you've got the NFL, you've got the Big Ten SEC league, and then you've got the rest of the football conferences, the rest of the FBS becoming the feeder teams to the Big Ten SEC league.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly.
All right, here's Blue Wolverine. Wow, dude.
Oh,
Thank you very much
right.
again.
Oh, my goodness. Oh.
I swear we did not set this up.
No, we didn't. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Go blue and hail to the victors. Totally agree with that.
Totally. Yeah, he's okay. So he says use that one instead. All right. We'll frame
we
that
will.
one.
We will.
We'll frame we'll frame that one. We'll put your name next to it. We'll have it on the display thingy here. It'll be great.
Yep.
Until someone outbids you. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Okay, so Antoine followed up with that will also push the rest of the talent to those two conferences. Yes.
Yep.
Agreed.
Oh, that's what he was referring to earlier with the Big Ten and the SEC giving the rest of college football a raw deal. Because the Big Ten and the SEC is just going to take all the talent. Now, maybe that's not the case if Florida State and Clemson stay in the ACC and they can build things up a little bit, but yeah. Yeah.
What do we? Nope. I didn't mean to click on that. What do we got here? We are already there, just haven't accepted it yet. When two political powers come together, they're just not coming together to drink coffee. All right.
Well, yeah. I mean, what if they drink beer instead? Then we could all be friendlier. That would be good. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's grab some beers and all sing Kumbaya, and we'll put the conferences together. I'm done. Move on.
There you go.
Let's be real. It's already relegation. Who's going to pay attention to the other conferences? That's absolutely fair. I get it. You're right. It's
becoming so lopsided.
Yeah. Well, but at least this way, like if Western Michigan has a good year, then maybe they can go up into tier 1 and then immediately go back down into tier 2 because let's be honest, they're going to get smacked. So never mind.
Yep. Free Climb's jumping in, but he's on a different topic here. I have a feeling Ohio is going to fall apart this year. So much expectation for so many prima donnas and a complete lack of culture. I mean, I feel like Ohio State's been that way for a long time with the prima donnas. Although I gotta temper that with some of those Ohio State players are good friends with Michigan players. Who would say they're not prima donnas, that they're good guys. They're just caught up in a school that seems more business oriented than say Michigan is.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean more on it
is the culture.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna lean it's a culture problem than a player prima donna problem.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm not gonna blame the players. I don't wanna just blame the players unless they start acting like Caleb Williams. Is that the guy from USC, the one who won the Heisman? He's being a total jerk with everything that he's doing. I can't remember. I think it's Caleb Williams. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to blame the players for that. But I have heard, what was it? CJ Stroud actually said that playing for Ryan Day was very clinical. It was very businessy. It was almost like what the Michigan players were saying about Jim Harbaugh before he, loosened up. So
right.
Antoine's laughing at me for the Western Michigan comment. Hey, we had that 1 year. We had it. I was a senior at Western Michigan for that MAC championship year, and I'm going to hold that over everyone for reasons. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm behind. Yeah, Caleb Williams won the Heisman in 22.
Yep. Okay, so that's the guy. Yeah, he's on a whole nother planet with his prima donna-isms. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Free Climb says, sorry to change the subject, LOL. Don't worry, we're both very ADHD here, so we change subjects quite often.
Hold up.
What?
I haven't been diagnosed with that yet.
Neither have I, but...
Yeah, well, get off WebMD.
Self-diagnosed, really.
No, that's
so there was a test online
to
determine whether or not you have ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to take the test. And I got through question 24. And when I got to question 25, I happened to glance down and noticed that I was on page 1 of 5. And I said, I don't have time for this. That's when I knew I have ADHD.
So the test is, if you can't complete this test, you have ADHD.
That's my feelings on it, yes.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. Now I got to complete the test just to prove that I don't have ADHD.
Frederick Fields, hey, he took his caps lock off. Bookies and agents are going to take over college football. Hey, man, it's looking
already?
that way. I mean, it might change as they get as NIL gets worked out and what do you call that? Mainstreamed, I guess.
Yeah.
As they mainstream it, as everybody sort of figures out how it works, I don't want to say it's going to be less of an issue, but at least they'll be able to control the bookies and the agents, because even the agents will then have to compete. Right? I mean, right now the agents are basically in a free for all, but at some point those agents are going to have to start competing for talent.
Competing with other agents to be able to represent them?
Yeah. Because so what happens when you open a new market, you get a few people jump in and they claim all of the first, the low-hanging fruit. They get all of it. But then as it becomes popular, or as it becomes more mainstreamed and well known, that's when more people get into it because they say, oh, well, this is a whole new market. And then you get more and more people in there. And pretty soon you have more agents than players. And now the agents have to compete for players.
Well, I don't know that you're ever really going to have more agents than players, just because, I mean, there are millions of players.
Well, okay, so maybe not more agents than players, but the players that would need an agent, not every player is going to need an agent.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So take the subset of players that are going to need agents, and that's where they end up. The bookies, on the other hand, bookies are merciless and without scruples. Scrupulous?
Scrupulous?
Scrupulous. It's without scruples.
It's without scruples. It's unfathomable.
It's unfathomable.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, the agents would start competing for players and stuff like that then, which would just increase money, like the amount of money being spent. Because then an agent's going to have to go to a player and say, like, I will make you, or I can get you a deal for this much money. And then the next agent's going to be like, well, I can get you a deal for this much money, and yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
Anyway.
Free Climb is questioning ADHD. So there's a version of ADHD that's attention deficit hyperfocus disorder, which I feel like I have. But anyway, that's a subject for another time. They've done nothing to address their O-line issues. I'm assuming you mean Ohio State and not people with ADHD.
This is what I've been saying the whole time. They keep saying, like, oh my gosh, they're pulling in this amazing transfer class. There's not one O-lineman. There's no one on the offensive line. Their defensive line is amazing, but their O-line's not good.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly. This is what I deal with on a regular basis, Free Climb. I'll start a conversation and be 10 subjects down the road before I finish my first sentence.
Yep.
Did we do this? I think we missed this one. Antoine said Ohio State is just silly. Ryan Day is literally the kid at Madden picking on the 99 receiver. Meanwhile, he doesn't have an offensive line.
Yes, this is correct.
This is correct.
You can have all of the skill position players you want. They can be as good as you want them to be. If you don't have an O-line, who's going to protect them? Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. All right. I think we need to start wrapping things up. What do you think?
I don't know. I was having fun, but all right. I guess I better go to bed soon.
We got jobs tomorrow, man.
Half the audience left. We were at 26. Now we're at 13. I don't know what you said, but
people got things to do, man.
I guess. Should we stream earlier? Like, if anyone in the chat has an opinion, would streaming at 7 be better than 8? So, I don't know if you want to
start earlier.
Yeah, maybe if we start like an hour earlier, we can get more people in or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, drop it in a poll. We'll see what people say.
Yeah, I know most people on the one poll I had said Sunday night, period.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, with that said, thank you to everybody for joining us. Let us know what you want to talk about. Put a comment on this video when it's posted. A lot of you guys have been talking in the chats. Really appreciate that. But like I said, this is a channel where we talk about football. We're not insiders. We're not professionals. We're just fans talking about football. And you guys are fans talking about football. Let's have a conversation. That's what we're doing.
Yes. Can I have 20 seconds, please?
You may have your 20 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so for the love of all that is good in this world, we are not journalists. We are not trying to break news. We are not trying to, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. We're just trying to talk about football, guys. We don't know very much. We're just reading the story same as you. And we don't report on them. We're not reporting. We just like talking football. So for the love of all, there are Buckeyes commenting on that one video saying, "Oh, you guys need to do more research." No, we don't. You want to know why? We don't care.
And in many cases, we can't.
Like, oh my gosh. We had one person saying, do you remember the one video we posted about the thing going on at Michigan, the sign stealing thing or whatever it was? And the one guy literally commented, "You don't know anything, and you should have done a Freedom of Information Act request on Michigan to get the information that you're talking about." No. All right, let's get out of here.
And we didn't need to anyway.
No.
Thank you guys, Antoine, Frederick, and Free Climb. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching. Blue Wolverine. Oh shoot, was that Blue Wolverine? Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Mac, take us out.
This is the Big Ten Team Rivalry Show. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Go Blue.
Go Blue. Sam Hartman's looking downfield for Adrian.
Carter almost has a one-handed catch.
Almost.